Bankai Tensa Zangetsu for the first time in chapter 162 of the manga is both epic and iconic. This dark, powerful Bankai did not disappoint in terms of how it looked or how much power it had. Even people who didn't read Bleach know who Ichigo is because of his Bankai. How strong was it though? Everyone agrees that it's strong, but I think people have different ideas about Tensa Zangetsu's strength. Well, in today's video, we are going to break down and analyze Ichigo's Bankai to show you guys how unrivaled it is. Also, if you haven't watched the anime, we highly advise you do so. Now, let's dive in. If we're going to talk about how strong his Bankai is, we should start with the thing that stands out the most about Tensa Zangetsu. And it's terrifying and overwhelming. Without a doubt, it's FTL, faster than light, and there are many examples of this in the series. For example, lieutenant-level fighters are nothing compared to Ichigo's ability to react faster than light in the Soul Society arc. Ichigo thought he was overcoming obstacles during the first arc, but he continued to think he was capable of overcoming anything. This changed when he encountered several Soul Society captains while rescuing Rukia, and none had a greater influence than Kenpachi. Ichigo wasn't facing a monster like he had with his prior adversaries. Renji and Ikkaku, two battle-loving Soul Reapers, had already been defeated by Ichigo before he faced his toughest opponent yet, the obnoxious Captain Kenpachi Zaraki of Squad 11. Ichigo was being pursued by Kenpachi, who determined that the moment had come to confront his deserving adversary. At first, Ichigo was unable to even scratch Kenpachi, and the fight appeared to be over. That is, until Zangetsu's spirit transformed into his true ally, increased his power, and, much to Kenpachi's satisfaction, Ichigo stood up to resume the fight. Somehow, without using Bankai, Ichigo managed to win by a very slim margin. That's the amazing power of Tensa Zangetsu. In the fight against Byakuya, when it came to speed, he beat Byakuya. To be clear, Ichigo could have killed Byakuya when his blade was at his throat, but he chose not to. Later in the fight, Byakuya tries to surround Ichigo with Zanbon Sakura, but Ichigo easily knocks each blade away and then appears behind Byakuya. Ichigo then says he could have gone faster during their fight. Later, Ichigo's inner hollow does take over and gives him at least a 5 to 10 times multiplier. This also means that his speed was 5 to 10 times faster, which was clear when he beat Byakuya. There's not much to talk about when it comes to Full Hollow Ichigo versus Ulquiorra. During the fight, Full Hollow Ichigo was already stronger than Ulquiorra, and Ulquiorra could easily avoid Lanza del Relampago by moving his head a little. Some people said Ulquiorra missed, but it's highly unlikely to happen. By this instant, you should have grasped how fast Tensa Zangetsu is. Because of his Bankai, Ichigo is one of the series' fastest and most direct characters. Almost every time he's fought, someone has said something about how fast he is, or has been surprised by it. The best thing about his Bankai is how fast it is. It can be classified as a speed-type Bankai. Do you think Ichigo's Bankai is the fastest? Tell us in the comments below. Jin says that just by clashing swords with Ichigo, Tensa Zangetsu makes him feel like his sword is going to break in two. Even Neutra says that Ichigo is very strong for his size due to their fight, and this was a change in Ichigo after he fought Grimjaw. Getsuga Tensho, also known as Piercer or Heaven or Moonbang Heaven Piercer, seems to be Tensa Zangetsu's main and only ability. It can send out a high-energy blast that looks like a crescent moon. It's a powerful technique that can cause large-scale damage and destruction. It's a simple but cool thing to be able to see. The Getsuga Tensho is so strong that Ichigo was able to hurt and burn Yhwach during the first invasion. This was before Ichigo got his real powers. In fake Karakura Town, Ichigo and Aizen with full power get to Getsuga Tensho and hurt him badly. One of my favorite Bankai moments is when Ichigo is fighting Gaijin, and they are both in Yukio's dimension, which is said to be impossible to get out of without a verbal command from Gaijin. Just by going, Bankai, Ichigo, and Gaijin could easily get out of this dimension, which shocked Rukia. The funny thing is that the Soul Society was so afraid of this Ichigo's power that they sent Byakuya, Torshiro, Kenpachi, Renji, Ikkaku, and Rukia just in case he rebelled after he found out the truth about the Soul Reaper badge. Let that sink in for just a moment, because this is how dangerous Ichigo would be to the Soul Society if he ever decided to rebel. Not only does he have his real Zanpakutō and powers, but he is also heavily suppressed, as I said earlier in the video. I'll explain why. When we read the Blood arc, we learned that the Soul Reaper's badge real goal is to watch you and limit, absorb, and control your Reiatsu. The Soul Society knows that Ichigo has a lot of Reiatsu and could possibly turn on them, so it wouldn't make sense for them not to limit the device by at least 80% as they did with the Soul Reaper limiter. When Ichigo got his real powers, we discovered that Zangetsu had been hiding his powers to keep him safe. We also find out that in Soul Society, Isshin was trying to stop Ichigo from using his powers. This is crazy because when Ichigo has his Soul Reaper badge on him, he loses 80% of his power most of the time. And even though everyone is trying to stop him, he has fought high-level captains at his lowest. Fans of the anime never found out about Ichigo's last Bankai because the part of TYBW's manga was never made into an episode of the show. When a group of QUINCY rose against the Gate 13 and the whole Soul Society in the 1000-year Blood War arc, Ichigo discovered a shocking truth about himself and his powers. Ichigo discovered that he was the rare child of a Soul Reaper and a QUINCY, with a little hollow on his mother's side. Ichigo thought that Zangetsu was his real Zanpakutō, but he was his QUINCY powers coming to life. Ichigo's blade wasn't fully connected to his Soul Reaper side, and the hollowified mirror he thought was just a hollow turned out to be the hero's real Zanpakutō. Nope, the crazy character has the same Soul Reaper powers as Ichigo. When the hero finally accepted that part of himself and pushed Zangetsu away, Ichigo was given a brand new Zanpakutō with a Shikai and Bankai to match. After sorting through his newfound family history, Ichigo was left with a Zanpakutō release with 2 swords. When the hero finally used his Bankai against the bad guy Yhwach, the 2 blades merged into a black and white kyber knife blade that Yhwach quickly broke. Fans never got to find out how strong Ichigo's new Bankai is, which is a shame. The hero never got to use it because Yhwach thought it was too dangerous and broke it as soon as it was turned on. The godlike bad guy seemed worried about the move, which kinda shows how powerful the Bankai is. How much damage do you think Ichigo could cause with his new Bankai?